Okay, students, the database one as promised. Now I have made a couple of minor changes. They really don't matter for the overall scheme of things, but the project that you download that is for databases in the resources and materials comes with it set up to run the people database, and you can use uh, that same project to just move to the other database. That file is already in bin debug, so you don't have to worry about it. I did go and over here I clicked on this and then went to rename and changed it from people to FRM games that you can see here, and it also automatically converts that to FRM games on these two. I went over here, changed this to FRM games, and that converts that one to FRM games and also this one. Then I went here and changed this from FRM people load to FRM games load. You don't have to do that. It'll run regardless, even if these all say people. Okay. Now this is the same connection string, and we come down and all of this stuff is basically the same. The only thing that changes here is I want you to change people here in the connection string to, oops, undo. I want you to change that to games, okay, because there is that other file, games.accdb, which is Access Database. And then as we come down here, this is SQL or SQL, as we sometimes call it, and this is a table name, not the file name. And so we need to change this. This name is vgchars. When they originally set it up for people, they set it up with the same name for both the database name and the table name, and that was really poor design, because if we are drawing information from the table, naming those two the same is just a disaster. Okay, so the database might get confused and doesn't know what to do. So SQL should be saying here, select asterisk. The asterisk means all the records from the table name vgchars. Okay, so then we go down here and we do these, and I've changed this name, which was listbox1. I changed it to a more descriptive item that says first name, listbox first name .items.add, and we need to change this one because the first field name is first name. And we do a .toString here just to make it possible to add the item to the item names in the list box, because list box only takes text, and if there had been a field that is number, an actual number like an int, this simply converts it to text, to a string, so that we can add it. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like so far. Okay, so there's a list box, and that's what it looks like so far, but we need to add all of the other fields so that we get that across. Okay, now a couple of things here. When you want to rename the particular thing here, like I changed this name, list first name, you need to go to the design item and then go over here. Well, first of all, click this so that it's highlighted, and then just change it in the name. When you change it here, it will automatically change here in the code. Okay, so let me demonstrate that just quickly. I'm going to go here. I'm going to grab a list box. And I'm going to make it the same length here. Okay, so this says list box 1 currently. So in the code, if I were to add that, it would say list box 1, and then I'd say items dot add, and then reader, which is where the information is coming from. Let's see here, reader, and then the bracket, and we are going to specify the field name. The next field name here happens to be last name. And by the way, that name, the field names, all of the field names are in the forum, so look for them there. Let's see, so we've got our bracket, and then dot toString, which is here, and we need to put in our parentheses and then our semicolon. Okay, so I want to show you what it looks like first. Okay, so there's our our columns, and that was our code. Now let me run it, and here we go, and you can see the 2 columns: Lara Croft, Nathan Drake, Sam Drake, Chloe Frazier, and so forth. Okay, characters from a video game, some of you might recognize. Okay, so but I don't like the fact that this says list box. Okay, so let me go up here, and it says list box 1. Again, I've highlighted that particular one, and I'm going to change this to list box and LST last name. Okay, and so I press enter here, and notice that this one automatically shows LST last name, but also if we go to our code, you'll see that it's automatically changed as well, LST last name. Okay, so I'm not going to show you all of them here because that takes time and it really isn't necessary. But if you go to the forum, all of the field names are listed, and so you need to add all of those field names. Okay, so the exact thing that you do need, regardless of whether you change the list box specific names, you do need to put in your first name, last name. I forget what all of them are at this particular moment, but you need to add them all in so that you can get credit for that particular thing. Okay, so you have a first name, a last name, a rank, a job title, and an ID number. And for my database people, this ID number is not unique, so you don't have to worry about it particularly. You have to have all of those. I think there's 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you have to have 5 list boxes total, and so there'll be 5 lines here that you'll have to deal with. Just remember that this is a file name right here. Okay, this is a file name. That's your database name, and this is a table name. Okay, a database can have more than one table, so we have to specify when we're pulling information what table or tables we're utilizing information from. The asterisk here in this case means we're grabbing all of the fields. Okay, normally you would specify field names here, and in this case I'm saying all of the fields. Okay, so this is what we do here. When we read here, reader.read, we're pulling in a line of information from the SQL selection, and it brings in one line, and we use reader and we specify the field name. To get that field name's worth of information, we specify last name to get that particular field, and so on. So we have to specify the other three fields here in order to get all of the information. If there was some kind of problem, okay, so this is one try here. If there was some kind of problem, like say for instance, let's try taking this off and see if that generates an exception. Probably will. Yep, that generates one whopper of an exception. Okay, so, and obviously that leaves that blank. So make sure that you get your names right for all of these type of things, so that you don't get those particular errors. And if you do get a massive exception like that, just keep in mind that it's probably something as simple as make sure you get your names correct. Especially in this particular case, in the table name, if you don't get the table name correct, when it goes to execute reader to do the SQL injection, oh man, that just generates that big of an error easily. Okay, just because of one problem in the SQL command. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you had this name incorrect, that will generate a different exception up here in the try catch. Now both of the files are already in the bin/debug. So people was there already, and you could literally run that project as is, but you also need to forget people and do the assignment, which is to convert this to games. And like I said, you really just need to change the name of the file from people to games, change the table name from people to VGChars, and then add in your appropriate field names for the 5 field names. Okay, all of the skeleton stuff is already there. So hopefully that clears up the directions. The handout didn't even have the field names, and obviously that's a problem. I put the field names into the forum, so make sure you look for them there, or you can see them right here at the top. Okay, and after you run the program, this is the kind of data that you should see after the fact. Okay, so there we are. Have a good evening.